Welcome to Black Girl Say Something, where this black girl has something to say. And it is the last Friday of March. And we are about to enter into the second quarter. I'm laughing because it's been these first 3 months of 2025 have definitely, I've said this before, felt like 2024. But I'm not going to dwell on that too long. I'm going to get into the topic at hand. And this topic is brought to you by TikTok because the topic right now that I'm finding funny and a little bit uh, interesting is the one of, if you weren't siblings with your sibling, would you be friends with your sibling? And I hope any of my siblings who listen to this don't take offense, but I'm going to come from a perspective that is my own. Okay, I'm going to have to say no. I'm gonna just hop right into it. So I was on TikTok live and we were talking about that particular question, and a lot of people were saying no, and some people were saying yes. And I think if it's a younger sibling, because I believe in birth order, I do believe in birth order. As somebody who was an oldest daughter, I probably should be with somebody who's either an oldest. I don't know if a middle child, like, I don't know. I don't know. I have to read more into birth order, but I do believe in birth order. Birth order does affect who you show up as in the world, right? How you were raised and all of those different things. If all of your needs were met, if your social and emotional needs were met, like all of that plays into how you show up in the world. And I could say no for a myriad of reasons. One in particular, I think about my brother, who we are about 2 years apart. We're really like a year and 9 months apart. And um, we are named after the Jacksons. I'm named after one of them, and he's named after one of them. And so that just to give you context of how close we should be. Now, I've said on previous episodes that parents are responsible for sibling relationships, but siblings are responsible for sibling relationships when they are older, when they are adults, so to speak. And me and this particular brother, it is a hard no because of the type of man that he presents to be in this world and the type of man that he is. Knowing that I was going through a traumatic experience that is domestic violence, he took that as an opportunity to get closer to me in an attempt to disprove what was going on with me. You see where I'm going? So, why would I want to be friends with somebody like that? The reason I'm going to have to say no for the rest of my siblings is because I haven't heard this take on TikTok, so I know I can present it here on my podcast and people will be like, "Oh, that makes sense." If I present it on TikTok, I don't have time for the back and forth. I do block very often and very frequently. But I think about my current friendships right now and how I'm typically the younger one of the friendships. So being an older sibling, I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that I have all of my friends are older, and I'm talking about by 10 years, by 15 years, by 20 years, by 5 years. For that reason, I would have to say no because I'm not friends with anybody who is younger than me. I don't have any friendships with anybody who's 14 years younger than me. So when I consider that, I would have to say no. Now, would I consider like who they are as a person? I could say yes, but again, my current friendships, I'm not friends with anyone who's younger than me. Now, if we could take it a step further, I would say if I could be friends with my mom, if she wasn't my mom, would I be friends with her? Also a no, because she is not where she needs to be mentally and emotionally. And that's another topic for another day. But if I look at her age, we're only 16 years apart. I would say yes, we would be friends based on the age gap, right? So I do have older friends because those are the friends that pour into me. Those are the friends who speak life into me. And again, I entered the workforce pretty young. So even when I started working at 15, I was still working around. I was the only person there that was 15, and I was around all of these 21-year-olds, right? And then when I started working, when I became a healthcare professional at the tender age of 19, these ladies were in their 40s and 50s. And to me, that was like pretty cool because it was like, oh, I'm still one of the youngest. Even there were people there that was 36. One of my good friends, where a lot of my good friends are a number of years older than me, anywhere from 5 to 15 years older than me. So if I had to say that, that's what I would say. But somebody said, on TikTok, they made a comment to the effect of, you should be friends with your sibling if you and your sibling went through a lot of the trauma together. For me, when I consider that one of the siblings is one that put me through a great deal of things. And again, this is just from a place of where I am currently in my healing journey. And someone asked me, posed a question and said, you know, how do you know you're healing if your trauma speaks before you? And to be quite honest, if your trauma is speaking before you, you have to consider where you're speaking from. Are you speaking from the healing place? Or are you speaking from the hurting place? And I think when you go to therapy, you have to speak from the hurting place so that your therapist can give you the tools to progress into the healing place. And I say that as somebody who spoke about, some of the things that I probably will never share. I don't care what platform or how big I get or how healed I get. There's just some things that happen to me through the course of my marriage that's so egregious that I would never share. And I think about the way that, some of those things happen. I had to grieve some things in order to forgive myself. I had to go through this transformative period, right? Of dang, this is who I was, and I was not being this authentic version of myself while I was with this person. Case in point, I was a guest on another podcast called Girl Come Sit With Me. I'll link the episode in the description of this episode of the podcast so that you can go and watch it and see what my take is on that. The name of the episode is The Problem Isn't You, It's the Way You See Yourself. And I think when I got to this place where I stopped seeing myself as this hurting, wounded victim, and I started to see myself as this victorious, winning, healing Black woman. I don't want to say warrior because I'm just a pretty princess, precious flower of a girl. And I'm just a girl, like emotionally, I'm just a girl. I want to be delicate. And for so many years, I had to be strong and ferocious and powerful. And I really wasn't, right? I really wasn't, because I was giving all of my power away and I was being subjected to abuse. And to leave is where the strength came from. And so the problem isn't you, it's the way you're seeing yourself. And it sounds a little cliche, but essentially, when we're talking about these friendships, being friends with your sibling, first of all, your first friends should be your parents. So I already lost the lottery on that, because there's a TikTok where they're like, the lottery isn't winning the lottery as far as money. The lottery, because the lottery system is, right, the pick and choose. Like, some schools have a lottery system where you have to apply and they just pick and choose who they want based on whatever. And sometimes it's not based on anything. You just have to get into the lottery in order to be selected, right? And so this girl said the real lottery is being friends with your mom, but liking your mom and having her like you back. And when you think about that, your mom, your dad, those are supposed to be your first friends. If you don't have any siblings, those are your first friends. Those are the people who are going to build you up constructively for the social, emotional, and mental well being to be out in the world around other people. Siblings are an afterthought of that, right? And parents still have to be the constructors, the construction workers, as it relates to helping you create that relationship with your sibling. Now, if you don't have a good relationship with your sibling, it's not a when you're young, and I'm gonna say young meaning under 25. When you're under 25, that relationship is is could be based off of the parents, right? But when you're over 25, at that point, it's up to the siblings to maintain and create that relationship. I think about my two youngest siblings. I have one sibling on my mom's side and my dad's side who are the same age. And I think about the fact that the relationship that I tried to build with them, or the relationship that I am building with them, is one of their own doing, is one of our own doing. Our parents are not involved in that aspect of it, right? I remember telling my mom one time with my brother, you cannot intervene in how I want to interact with him, because I have made a conscious decision that he is not good for my healing. And that's just point blank, period. But with that being said, if something was said that resonated with you, share this episode with at least one person. Remember, you can tune into Black Girl Say Something every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We drop a new episode wherever you listen to podcasts. But also, we're on Patreon. So if you could just go over there and subscribe, there's an episode where I had a guest on, and I am giving some insight to where I am currently in the process of life. And I would greatly appreciate you tuning into that. So, all of the links to everything will be in the description of this episode. I look forward to you listening. I look forward to connecting with you over on Patreon. And don't forget, remember, tune into Black Girl Say Something because this Black girl has something to say. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube. Thank you.